Most people would walk past this coin without a second glance, not realizing that a small piece of old gold sitting quietly in a drawer, a cupboard, or an inherited box could, in rare situations, be worth more than a luxury home, or even a fortune beyond imagination. And if you enjoy discovering hidden stories like this, take a quiet moment to subscribe, because some of the most valuable coins are often the ones people ignore for decades. The one sovereign is one of those coins. At first glance, it does not always look extraordinary. To many people, it simply appears to be an old gold coin from another time. A family keeps it wrapped in cloth. Someone finds one in a late father's collection. Others remember seeing one locked away in a tin box with old documents and forgotten photographs. But over the years, collectors began noticing something unusual about certain sovereigns. Not all of them were equal. Some looked almost identical. Yet one might sell for a few $100s, while another could quietly attract attention from serious buyers willing to pay thousands. And that is where the mystery begins. The sovereign carries deep history. For generations, it was trusted across different parts of the world. It passed through the hands of workers, travelers, businessmen, soldiers, and families trying to protect their savings during uncertain times. In South Africa especially, many older families remember these coins well. Some were passed down during difficult years. Others were stored away simply because gold was considered safe. No one imagined that decades later, collectors would search for specific versions with such intensity. Now here is something many people do not realize. A normal-looking sovereign can already hold strong value because of its gold content alone. Even heavily worn examples may still attract buyers. Depending on condition and year, some can sell for a few $100s quite easily. But then collectors start asking certain questions. Which year was it made? Which mint produced it? Does it carry unusual markings? Has it survived in exceptional condition? And suddenly, the value can change dramatically. Some collectors believe the real treasures are the coins most people overlook because the differences are often tiny. A small letter beneath the design, a rare production year, a limited mintage, a subtle variation that only experienced eyes recognize. That tiny difference can completely change everything. Imagine two sovereigns side by side on a table. To the average person, they appear identical. Yet one might be worth a modest amount, while the other could trigger a bidding war at certain auctions. That is why experienced collectors move slowly when examining these coins. They know that rushing can mean missing something extraordinary. And there is one detail coming up shortly that many families never think to check, even though it can multiply the value beyond expectations. The design itself adds to the fascination. Many sovereigns feature the famous image of St. George slaying the dragon. For older collectors, that design carries a sense of strength, tradition, and history. It reminds people of another era, a slower time when coins had weight, beauty, and meaning. But beauty alone is not what creates the excitement. Rarity does, and rarity often hides in silence. Over the years, countless sovereigns were melted down, damaged, lost, or spent during hard times. Wars, economic struggles, and changing currencies caused many rare examples to disappear forever. That means surviving pieces became harder to find, especially those preserved in remarkable condition. Condition matters more than many people realize. A sovereign with sharp details, strong shine, and minimal wear can attract very different attention compared to a heavily circulated one. Some collectors describe it almost like finding a classic car untouched in a garage for 50 years. The older generation understands this feeling well. You open an old box expecting nothing, and suddenly history is staring back at you. Now here comes another surprising part. Certain sovereigns connected to specific historical periods tend to attract far more interest. Coins from difficult years, limited productions, or special mint locations can become highly desirable. And South African connections matter too. Some rare sovereigns associated with historical gold production and older minting periods have gained legendary status among serious collectors. But the truly fascinating part is this. Sometimes the owner has absolutely no idea. A coin may sit in a family collection for decades because someone simply thought, it's just an old gold coin. No one checks the year carefully. No one studies the markings. No one notices the tiny details collectors search for obsessively. Then one day, perhaps out of curiosity, someone decides to look deeper, and the story changes completely. There have been situations where ordinary-looking sovereigns first sold for a few $100s. Then experts noticed something unusual. Suddenly interest grew. More collectors entered. The price climbed higher and higher. $1,000. 5,000, 10,000, and still the bidding continued. That kind of discovery is what keeps collectors awake at night. Not because every coin is worth a fortune, but because every old coin carries a possibility. And sometimes that possibility becomes very real. Now, before we go further, there is one important thing to understand. Not every sovereign is rare. That is what makes the valuable ones so fascinating. Most examples follow expected patterns. Common years, regular mintages, normal circulation wear. Still valuable because of gold, but not life-changing. However, in rare situations, collectors discover errors, unusual production runs, or exceptionally preserved examples that completely break expectations. And this is where the story becomes truly interesting. Some sovereigns have appeared at auctions and stunned even experienced buyers. At first, estimates seemed reasonable. Then bidding started. Slowly at first, then aggressively. Because multiple collectors recognized the same thing at the same moment. They were not simply looking at gold. They were looking at rarity, history, and scarcity combined. That combination can become extremely powerful, especially when wealthy collectors compete for ownership. And there is another detail many people forget. The older the coin, the fewer untouched examples survive. Think about how many hands these coins passed through. How many were scratched, cleaned improperly, or damaged over generations. Finding one in exceptional condition becomes increasingly difficult. That alone can send values soaring. Some collectors even believe condition can matter as much as rarity itself. A rare coin in poor shape may still hold value, but a rare coin preserved beautifully can enter an entirely different world. Now imagine discovering one in an inherited collection. An old envelope. A forgotten safe. A dusty cabinet nobody opened for years. That is exactly how some remarkable discoveries begin. And what comes next surprises many people even more. Because certain sovereigns are valuable not only for their rarity, but also because of the stories surrounding them. Collectors love stories. Coins connected to important historical events, famous periods, or unique mint histories tend to gain emotional value as well as financial value. And emotional value is dangerous at auctions. Because once emotions enter the room, prices often stop making sense. One collector wants the coin for investment. Another wants it for prestige. Another wants to complete a collection built over 40 years. And suddenly the price keeps climbing beyond expectations. Now you may be wondering, how can someone tell if their sovereign deserves closer attention? Experienced collectors usually begin with 4 things: the year, the mint mark, the condition, and authenticity. But here is the twist many people never expect. Even tiny details matter. A small variation in lettering, a rare mint location, a production anomaly. Sometimes even a slight difference in color or strike quality can attract major interest. This is why some collectors spend hours studying what appears to be an ordinary coin. Because hidden within ordinary appearances, extraordinary value sometimes waits quietly. And there is still something even more surprising ahead. Many older viewers remember a time when gold coins were not treated like treasures. Families stored them casually. Some were given as gifts. Others sat forgotten in drawers alongside watches and old papers. Back then, nobody imagined what future collectors might pay. Today, that forgotten decision can become incredibly important, especially when a rare sovereign resurfaces after decades out of public view. Collectors become excited when a coin suddenly appears after remaining hidden for generations. It creates mystery, questions, competition. Where has it been all these years? How did it survive untouched? Why was nobody aware of it? That mystery alone can increase attention dramatically. Now let us talk about values again, because this is where the suspense grows. A standard sovereign in average condition might bring a respectable amount because of gold prices. A better example could move into the thousands. A scarcer date may rise far beyond that. And then come the truly exceptional pieces. The ones whispered about among advanced collectors. The ones that rarely appear. The ones people travel across countries just to view in person. Some collectors describe seeing such a coin for the first time as unforgettable, because they know they may never see another. And when something becomes that scarce, price almost becomes secondary. Desire takes over. Competition takes over. History takes over. Now here is another reason sovereigns continue attracting attention worldwide. Trust. For generations, people trusted these coins as real wealth. Long before modern digital banking, a sovereign represented something solid and dependable. Gold in the hand. Real value. That emotional connection still exists today, especially among older generations who appreciate tangible assets. And that emotional connection helps drive collector demand even higher. Because buyers are not simply purchasing metal. They are purchasing history, security, prestige, and rarity all at once. But there is still one final layer to this story that shocks many viewers. Sometimes the most valuable coins are not discovered by experts first. They are discovered by ordinary families. Someone cleaning a late relative's belongings. Someone opening a forgotten box in storage. Someone finally deciding to examine an old coin that had been ignored for years. That possibility is what makes stories like this so powerful. Because it feels real. It feels possible. And every year, stories continue appearing about hidden collections surprising entire families. Now, of course, it is important to stay realistic. Not every old sovereign will bring enormous money. Condition matters. Authenticity matters. Collector demand matters. And market interest changes over time. But some collectors believe we are only beginning to understand how valuable certain rare sovereigns may eventually become, especially those tied to unusual histories or extremely limited survival numbers. And now, we arrive at the part most people never forget. There are rare and exceptional cases, the kind that almost sound unbelievable, where certain sovereigns connected to extraordinary rarity, historical importance, elite provenance, or intense collector demand have reached astonishing levels. Not thousands, not hundreds of thousands, but amounts so large they completely change how people view a simple coin. At certain auctions, and in extremely rare situations, values connected to legendary examples have climbed into the millions. And in the most dramatic stories whispered about among serious collectors, some believe an exceptional sovereign could one day reach as high as $56 million. Just imagine that for a moment. A coin small enough to rest in the palm of your hand, potentially worth more than estates, luxury properties, or entire businesses. That is the power of rarity mixed with history and human desire. And perhaps the strangest part of all, Some people may already own something important without realizing it. A forgotten family coin, an inherited sovereign tucked away safely, an old piece nobody examined carefully. The next remarkable discovery could still be sitting quietly inside someone's home right now, maybe even yours. So before you dismiss old coins as ordinary, take another look. Check the dates. Look closely at the markings. Protect anything old or unusual, because history has a strange habit of hiding value where people least expect it. And if you enjoy uncovering stories like these, subscribe and stay with us for more hidden coin discoveries that many people overlook every single day.